Shabbat Shalom, family and friends. We are in the 44th Torah portion named Devarim, which means words, or these are the words. The Torah portion takes place in Deuteronomy chapter 1 through chapter 3, verse 22. And the reading for the prophets is Isaiah chapter 1, verses 1 through 27. It also includes the Psalms, the chapters 107 through 110. And in the Renewed Covenant, it includes Acts chapter 9, verses 1 through 21, as well as 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. So Devarim, Deuteronomy, is the fifth and last book of the Torah, and it is a repetition and expansion of the law. What I find interesting is that the book of Deuteronomy, or Devarim, is written similar to that of the vassal treaties written prior to 1000 BC. It starts off with a historical introduction. It then goes into an enumeration of laws. And then third, it concludes with threats and promises. Yah used Moses to write this book. And Moses was the adopted son of Pharaoh's daughter. So he grew up as royalty in Egypt. And so with that in mind, he most likely had the best tutors of the land and was educated in political matters, which would include international relations. And this is just a testament of how everything is in Yah's hand and is part of a larger plan. So as these vassal treaties are arranged, the book starts off with a historical introduction. And so we have here Moses is addressing the children of Israel only 2 months before they would cross the Jordan into Canaan. And they are about to take possession and dwell in the promised land. And the book sets forth the laws that they must follow. It reminds me of how a landlord is going to allow someone to stay on his or her property, but gives his new tenants a list of rules for them to follow. And if they don't follow those rules, ultimately that property belongs to that landlord, and he or she is in their right to kick out the tenants. And this is what occurred with the kingdom of Israel. The children of Israel did not heed Yah's commands, and they were expelled and scattered abroad. In the reading of the prophets for this week, we see in Isaiah chapter 1, starting at verse 21, how the faithful city, this is Jerusalem, has become a prostitute. She who was full of justice. Righteousness once dwelt in her, but now murderers. Your silver has become waste matter, your drink diluted with water. Your rulers are rebels and companions of thieves. Everyone loves a bribe and chases after gifts. They do not obtain justice for the orphan, nor does the widow's case come before them. So it's interesting that in this passage in Isaiah, there's a slam on the leaders of the peoples. And it goes into how Israel is really not following God's commands, and how it's going after other gods. And as a consequence, they're going to be kicked out. Okay. One of the first things discussed in Deuteronomy in this Torah portion, it's actually the first chapter of Deuteronomy, is the appointment of wise men as heads of the tribes. And so in this Torah portion, these men that are leaders are directed to judge righteously, to not show partiality in judgment, to hear small and great cases alike, and they should fear no one, for the judgment is Yah's. And we see that. But yet, if you contrast it with what we read in Isaiah, we know that these leaders have just failed. They're taking bribes. They're companions of thieves. Now, the reference to the heads of the tribes is also mentioned in Numbers chapter 11, verses 16 through 17, which reads, "The Lord therefore said to Moses, 'Gather for me 70 men from the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and their officers, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and have them take their stand there with you. Then I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take away some of the spirit who is upon you, and put him upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you will not bear it by yourself.'" Some historians argue that this group of elders in some way continued over time and became known as the Sanhedrin. Now, what we do know is that this group was even corrupt during the time of Jesus. During Jesus' trial, the Sanhedrin, or the Council of Elders, they brought forth false witnesses. The whole trial was a sham. They had Rome put Jesus to death because they weren't able to. However, in Acts, they didn't stop Stephen from being stoned to death. In the renewed covenant piece of our reading in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, it also highlights the qualities of an overseer or deacon in the body of Christ. A person that should be above reproach, husband of one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, skillful in teaching, not overindulging in wine, not a bully but gentle, not contentious, free from the love of money. It was important for the children of Israel to have good elders, and it's important that we have good leaders now. Fathers are one of the most important leaders. Note that the children of Israel refer to themselves as such, since they're following the God of their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who was later known as Israel. As the children of Israel wander in the wilderness approaching the promised land, they go to pass through the territory of Esau's descendants. The children of Israel are commanded to not provoke the descendants of Esau, to buy food from them with money, and to purchase water from them with money. They were also commanded to not attack or provoke Moab and Ammon to war, the descendants of Lot. Yah honored the descendants of Esau and Lot due to their forefather and leader. Now let's compare that to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan. Sihon was not willing to have them pass through their land, and it led to their defeat and dispossession of land. And then there was a similar thing that happened to Og and the people that followed him. Now, I'd like to end that we are the lively stones of the temple of God. We are all parts of the body of Christ. And we need to honor those that have been given leadership positions, but also bear in mind that they are not perfect and they get weary. like Moses, who had too much burden to bear from the people. However, we have a leader that is perfect in all ways and who is always faithful. Thus, let's keep our hope and trust in him and press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God. That concludes the Torah portion for this week. I pray that you have a blessed week. Shalom.